What's up, Philly fans? Welcome back to Philly Sports Fire. I'm Chris, bringing you the latest on Philadelphia sports news and analysis. Today, I'm going to take a look at the Phillies bullpen, some players that are doing strong right now this season, and the construction from the offseason coming into this season, and some areas that the Phillies are going to need to improve, especially with the trade deadline coming up in a couple of months. First are Matt Strahm and Orion Kerkering. Both of them have done solid this season. Not really like last season where they were both pitching like all-stars. Of course, Strahm was named to the all-star team, but Kerkering, he had a little bit of bumps here and there, but he's pretty much, I think, found his footing as of recent. With Matt Strahm, he's been pretty solid throughout the season, but still with the contract that he's on, it's very favorable, and we still have him for next season. Kerkering, he'll be under contract for a bunch of years, considering that he was just brought up from our farm system, so he will be under arbitration for a few years. Don't remember off the top of my head the exact number. With Jordan Romano, he's supposed to be possibly, potentially, a top arm in this bullpen. Now, the Phillies were taking a risk, paying him about $8 million coming into this season, and it's just a one-year contract. He started out pretty awful. I mean, looking at spring training, he was dominating it, but really, you're going against all different sorts of talent there, from minor league players, guys battling for teams, and other star players on teams, just regular MLB players, but it's pretty much everyone that you're going against. So it makes sense why the spring training was dominant. You can't really go based on that. But coming in this season, he was doing horrendous. But now, as of recent, the last 7 games, he has a 0 ERA with 3 saves in there. And the Phillies are going to need him to be their closer, considering we don't have anyone else who can really close. Jose Alvarado was an option, but he was best as a setup man. And now, looking at where he's at, he's probably done for the entire season. Looking at Jordan Romano, he needs to step up to at least be a solid closer for the Phillies. Can't put too much expectation on him, considering he came from an injury, and last season he wasn't doing very well. But he should at least still be able to be a serviceable, solid closer for us, and if not, the Phillies may have to look to trade him at the deadline. After that, you've got Jose Ruiz, Tanner Banks, 2 middle-of-the-rotation back-end relievers, so there shouldn't be too much expectation on them. Joe Ross, he was signed for this year, expected to be one of those middle-of-the-rotation guys in the bullpen. So those 3 have pretty much done okay, but nothing really too amazing. Then you've got players like Carlos Hernandez and Daniel Roberts, who I can't really complain about them. You know, they're coming into a bullpen that is incomplete, trying to battle for a spot on a team, and so they were pretty much those guys are just filling in. So they weren't expected to be coming in this season to get a spot on this rotation in the bullpen. They're pretty much just coming looking for a spot, and with the Phillies bullpen looking the way it's been, we don't have too many more options. The Phillies just brought up Matt Lazar. Hopefully he could do pretty solid. He's done excellent in AAA, but last season when he came up to the majors, he was not really doing all that great. There's a couple of players that are also doing well in AAA, and they could possibly find the spot to come up and possibly to contribute this season. We also have Taijuan Walker, who's done excellent in the bullpen and even in the starting rotation. So if he can just be a strong bullpen piece, multi-inning reliever, I think that would be strong for him. With Mick Abel, he'll probably go back down to AAA, but maybe he could find the spot in the bullpen this season. With how many starting pitchers the Phillies have, I think they do have options to move some starters to relief roles if they would be able to do that. Even if Alvarado was not suspended, the Phillies bullpen was still pretty incomplete, missing out on Jeff Hoffman bringing him back in free agency, and with Carlos Estevez leaving. So considering that they did the same thing that they do every season, getting a closer at the beginning of the season or trading for one and then just letting him walk in free agency, finally we got the best of them in Carlos Estevez, and we just let him walk in the offseason. Closers are not easy to find, as we know, and so when you get one who, you can sign for multiple years and is still roughly pretty young in his early 30s as a reliever, I think it would have made sense to sign him back, but instead, both him and Hoffman were out of here. Obviously, then it came down to the decision that they signed Jordan Romano, another closer with some question marks, to a one-year deal. And if things don't work out again, then you don't have any closer for the future. With that being the case, the Phillies are going to have to be very active at the trade deadline. As we already know, I mean, coming into each season, you want to hope that at least you can get a solid reliever. But now at the deadline, I think they're going to have to get a pitcher who can be one of the top tier pitchers in the bullpen, and to also get another one that can help out. And so I think Ryan Helsley, he's definitely the top option. And Philly, I think, should be pursuing him very hard at the trade deadline, and they should be looking now. After that, players like Kenley Jansen, David Robertson, trading for Jansen or trying to sign Robertson could be options, but both of them are pitchers that are very, quite old and are at the end of their careers most likely. So I don't think that would really make as much sense. It would be awesome to get a pitcher with more years on his contract, a player that is more controllable, but that's not exactly easy to find either. With Ryan Helsley, yes, he is at the end of his contract, and if you trade for him, you have to make sure that you sign him to whatever he wants this offseason, which is expected to be maybe 4 to 6 years. As one of the best closers in baseball, Philly, I think, should be diving right in, doing whatever they can get to get him if the price is right. But even if the price is steep, it may be the risk they have to take, and they should be willing to pay as much as they need to attain these guys if they are looking to win now in their window for the upcoming few years. With that being said, plain and simple, the Phillies bullpen is just not deep enough. They're going to now have to be more active at the trade deadline. With Jose Alvarado done for the season, they're going to have to get smart, and they're going to have to make more moves so that they can keep up and have a strong bullpen. They were one of the strongest bullpens last year, and with the bullpen they've been building up, considering past years, they were one of the worst bullpens in MLB history. This is the most important part of the team that Philly is going to need to fix. Sure, their offense, they can try to get a more balanced team. Their starting pitching, well, we know that's already amazing. And with the closer especially, that is the biggest spot they are going to have to find to fill out in their roster. And the bullpen just needs to be well-rounded. So let me know what you guys think down below. Who are some players that you think the Phillies should target at the trade deadline? Who are some players that you're interested in? I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Make sure you like, leave a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button. Until next time, peace out, Philly.